The following program does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good evening and good morning and good afternoon wherever you are. Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts Fred and Janet Cox right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right to your hosts of the Liquid Green Health Show, Fred and Janet Cox.
It's another Sunday afternoon. It's 5:30, and we are bang on time. This is the Liquid Green Health Show, and a very warm welcome to our listeners in Toronto, across Canada, the United States, and around the world. This is a live broadcast on radio as well as on YouTube. So before we start a show, we have to ask everyone who has the ability to go to the internet to please go to YouTube, type in the Liquid Green Health Show, share, like, subscribe. It is very important. It helps us to grow. Please do that for us. This is a show for education and entertainment purposes only, designed to stimulate your mind and help us to come one step closer to living a healthier life.
Are we still on Facebook?
I think so, yes. Yes, we're still on Facebook. And now we're on the new platform, which is YouTube, right?
Okay. But
send
if
us
they
your
wanted
email.
to go through Facebook, what would they do?
Just go to Facebook.
Yeah, I'll just let you know what I
Yeah.
do is I put the link on Facebook page on both of them.
Yeah,
So if they want to go to the YouTube, all I have to do is click on the link and it automatically brings them there.
brings them to Facebook.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so that's one way they can get there. They can go to the YouTube channel, or they can go to Facebook and get to the same link, and then they'd be all set.
Wow.
Great.
So whichever way we want them to
Yeah.
like.
And what's the name of
Subscribe.
the Facebook page again? We'll just make sure
It's,
we the guys
it's
hear it.
Liquid Green Products Inc.
Yes.
Right?
Cool.
Liquid Green Products Inc. on Facebook.
But on YouTube, it's,
Also,
Liquid Green.
the email address is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. Let us know where you're listening to us from. We'd love to hear from you. We had a lot of emails from our last segment that we didn't get a chance to answer. We try and do that today. Today's show is sponsored by Liquid Green Products, producers of eco-superior green cleaning products for your home, office, car, and of course your pets. My name is Fred Cox, and my lovely host is Janet Cox. And we have someone wrote us in.
Yeah, Clyde.
Someone
Clyde
wrote in
last
week and asked if we had a new theme song. And yes, you just heard it. We do have a new theme song because, going to YouTube, it required certain things that had to be done. And so we had to change our previous.
I do
theme song.
love my It's a Groove thing, but
Yeah, I kind of like it. So
at least our producers approve of our new sound,
yeah.
and they're musicians. They're musicians.
It sounds good. I like it.
Great.
Hearing it through the headphones, it sounds good.
Actually,
Clyde-
Kira wrote in and said she really liked it.
Yeah,
Loved the new sound.
and
right?
Clyde sent us an email asking the question whether
Yeah.
it was a new theme song.
I think anything that gets you to move is good.
As long as it has a
Right.
rhythm, as long as it makes you tap your feet, trigger those toes, right? So again,
Yeah.
folks, please, go to Facebook, go to YouTube, like us, subscribe, and share. It's the Liquid Green Health Show on YouTube.
You know what, Frederick? It's so funny. I watch so many people on YouTube, and we listen quite a bit.
Mhm.
And every time, yes, I will subscribe. But now that we're doing this, I'm making a point. Now I realize the importance.
It's very important.
So for
yes.
everybody I listen to now, I go and I'm subscribing.
Yeah, and
So
and
we're
click on-
asking now for
click
them
on that bell as
to do
well.
the same, right?
Now,
Okay.
a lot of things have been happening this week. First, I want to talk about, well, just touch.
Mhm.
I'm going to touch on the big, mishap that happened on Friday. Yeah, Rogers, folks, one of the three big telecommunication companies in
Yeah.
Canada, they had fried egg on their faces.
I don't
This
think the egg was fried, raw eggs.
They had raw eggs, right, on their face this week because, many of their customers, the subscribers, got up very early Friday morning only to find out that there is no internet. And that went on for about 15 or 17 hours.
Yeah,
most
of the day.
Most of the country was
Mhm.
basically held at
Yeah.
bay because you couldn't shop. If you
Yeah.
did, you had to pay cash
Mhm.
or use a credit card. So you couldn't use your debit card. If you went to buy gas, you couldn't use your debit card. You had to pay cash.
I thought we'd have
or-
gotten some free gas, but I
Yeah.
guess not.
And there were cases where stores were taking your credit card, and when they get the opportunity, they'll charge it. So there's a little bit of trust that went on there.
But
But that
what
was a big embarrassment for.
But what an
Rogers.
opportunity for Bell.
Yeah.
I heard Bell was going door
Bell
to
went
door.
door to door and was offering discounts.
But for us, like the tragedy is we just switched from Bell 3 months ago,
We just
right?
switched from Bell because
Because-
Bell couldn't provide the type of service that we want, the
In the,
speeds that we
area,
wanted.
right?
So we went to
Roger.
Rogers only for internet. My cell phone is still working on Bell,
Mhm.
right? I'm not going to give that up, but it was a big,
But you know what? To me, it's like just a matter of time. Like technology, we know something is going to happen big again.
but
So,
listen,
It's just Roger's turn now.
but
who
this
will
is
it
the
be next
second time in 15 months
Yeah.
with Rogers, and it just shows what could happen with technology.
And they're
Right.
trying to buy out Shaw, right?
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't go through.
But anyway, apart from the people who are affected in the hospitals,
yeah, a
and
lot
the
of people
ones,
were
you know,
affected. Yeah.
surgeries, they had
Yeah.
to bring in, the hospitals had to bring in extra staff.
And with the
Surgeries had to
911,
be canceled.
the
et
911
cetera, right?
emergency,
Mhm.
even if you made a call to 911, if you had a Rogers phone, they couldn't contact you,
Okay.
right? If somehow the call went through to 911, they couldn't contact anyone at Rogers. So,
Gary,
but it's back
were
on.
you affected at all?
Yes, our internet for the radio station and my
Yeah.
cell phone were down for 15,
Okay.
16 hours.
Oh,
So
wow.
we didn't do 3 shows,
Okay.
but my 800 numbers that come into the office here,
Mhm.
they're Bell. So I was able to use Bell to call out. Of course,
Okay.
I would have to call another Bell person,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which I did
Mhm.
for Mike. But otherwise,
Okay.
anyone trying to contact through Rogers was
Mhm.
useless.
Useless.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
that's a
it's
lesson
over
learned.
and we're back to, it just tells us how connected we are to our devices, you know?
Yeah, but
So
listen, it's a
connected.
new technological
Yeah.
age we're living in, and whether you like it or not,
Mhm.
you have to have one of these carriers, and at some point in time, you're going to have a problem because it's all technology, it's software, and these things do go bad. So,
Okay.
the good thing is they are huge enough to withstand whatever difficulties they face. The other thing that happened in the world, around the world, in Nara, Japan, on July the 8th, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the longest serving leader of modern Japan, was gunned down on Friday while campaigning for a parliamentary election.
And they say that
that's
was
shocking. And that's in a country that doesn't have a lot of guns,
Yeah.
if they have any at all. It's sad to see him go that way. He was 67
And
years
that was a
old.
terrible thing, Fred, but they
Yeah.
found out that gun
It was a homemade.
homemade. Yeah.
homemade gun,
homemade.
yes.
And so
Wow.
it just shows if when it's your turn to go, regardless of how much protection you have, or regardless how many laws are in place to protect the citizens, people are going to find a way to do damage, to commit a crime.
It's funny because I was listening today to a reporter and they said in Japan, this is as catastrophic an event as 911 was to America.
Wow.
Can you
Wow.
imagine? Because they say people will really rally, the country will unite
Yeah.
You know, even though
that's-
he was with one party, not the other.
yeah,
Okay.
it's sad, but
Yeah.
fortunately,
Mhm.
as Gary said, the perpetrator has been arrested, and we'll see the outcome of that. Another
Okay.
big thing that happened in Canada,
In Canada.
is
Our prime
the
minister.
federal
right?
government, through the prime minister, has apologized for anti-Black racism experienced by number 2 Construction Battalion. The federal government has formally made an apology, long overdue, to descendants and relatives of the men of number 2 Construction Battalion. Saturday afternoon, he made that announcement in Nova Scotia. 106 years later, what took them so long? That's my question.
Okay.
I mean, this is not something that they didn't know about, but what took them so long
Yeah.
to make that apology to these?
This is controversial, but I want to know, when are they going to apologize about slavery? Anyway,
Well,
I'll say
that's a whole political issue.
and this is a health show, so
yeah.
we'll get into that another
I
time,
mean,
right?
I'm still waiting for the for the 40 acres. I don't want the
The
mule.
mule. I'll
'Cause a
take a
mule-
horse.
A mule can't reproduce anything.
Or a Mercedes.
Yeah.
40 acres and a
40
Mercedes.
acres on a Mercedes. I'll take that. All right. I could do a lot with that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that apology was made, and you know, it's a step in the right direction. As I said earlier, I wouldn't say it's too late. It's a lot later than it should have been, because you know, those men, they give their lives for something worthwhile. At the time, they provided a lot of you know, good work to help the war to go the way it did. So congratulations, but again, it's too late. Now, we have designated July as our fun month for the Liquid Green Health Show. And last week we had 2 guests on. One was our producer, and the other was a young lady, highly
Roxanne.
qualified, very attractive, very knowledgeable in her field. And she was, you know, talking about the therapeutic benefits of music, what she does in order to get her subjects to
Her
heal
clients.
properly using music.
Yeah.
We are going to have her on. Unfortunately, she's not going to be on as early as we had expected because of some unforeseen events that has taken place.
Her doggy,
Yeah.
her little doggy.
Yeah, her little
The
dog is
doggy's
not
having-
well, and so she has
is in
to.
trauma.
Yeah,
So she has to deal with that,
she
you
has
know?
to deal with that.
And we know in our society how important our dogs are, right?
Yeah. So
They're family.
continuing today, we're going to continue with our conversation with our guest when she, you know, is available with about music. We're going to be talking about the therapeutic and healing energies and how it can be used as a tool in the process of healing. But we want to get to the emails that we didn't get a chance to read last week. We had some wonderful emails that came through. If you can pull it up there, Janet, you got it on your screen?
And let Gary know we're going to be putting him on the spot again.
Yeah,
right?
Gary, we're going to be calling on you.
That's
Okay.
okay.
And Mike.
Okay.
All
We're going to be
right.
calling on you on, you know, to help us through this one here.
Thank you. That's
Um,
okay.
Janet,
Okay.
can you find it?
No, I'm not on the email page. So Gary, I'm going to start with you until we find those emails.
Sure.
You know, we talked to you about the fact that you're a songwriter, you wear so many hats, you're a musician. How did you get started in music?
I was about 11 or 12 years old,
Mhm.
and my cousin, who's much older than I am now, but she was playing guitar, and I remember going to her house one day. We were there for a picnic, and I noticed the guitar in the corner.
Mhm.
And I said, "Hey, I've always liked those things." I didn't even know what they were. So she handed it to me, and she taught me 3 chords on the guitar,
Oh, wow.
and I started playing and practicing, and she's basically what started
Very-
me.
What about school? Any influence
Yes.
from a teacher or anything?
Yes, as I became in junior high school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I loved woodwind, so I learned to play sax, clarinet, and oboe, and I started playing that a lot. And then in high school, I started to learn percussion and drums.
Okay.
And so school and teachers, yes, were a big influence, and I just kept going from there.
I'll share a story. I'm a past school teacher, been retired 19 years, but I taught with the Toronto District School
She's
Board.
dating herself here.
I took early retirement now, right?
Yes.
But I remember, you know, when it comes to schools and the way the principals have to organize the staff to make it work, sometimes you don't exactly get your strongest
Yeah.
subject to teach. And so she asked me, so that it would fit in the curriculum, she asked me if I would take grade 7 and 8 music. And I said, absolutely not, because I don't have a musical
background.
enough background. I can't sing. You know, I love music. I am sure I would be a good judge on American Idol, although I can't sing a note, right?
Sure.
But you know what? I brought in my nieces who could sing. I had guest speakers come in. We listened to so many tapes at the time, not records, but CDs. And I did a class with me not involved at all. And that's when and for my students, the good thing was, even students who don't generally get 90s, everybody passed my class with 90 degrees or better.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. I wish I had you as a teacher.
Exactly, for music, when I wasn't a music teacher, right? Now, so what happens is that you don't really need to have a musical background in order to enjoy or be good at music, right?
Music is so infectious because, I mean, take a little kid, for example.
Yeah.
Just a young kid, 18 months old,
yes,
right? Or even younger.
Even newborns, as we talked about.
And you start to play music. It has such an effect on that person. The rhythm is what I think, gets them to move. And they would move. They would do their little jig, right? And that's how powerful music is. It really is, as someone wrote in, music is a universal language, right? It has its healing power. You can use music for just about every single emotion. As I said earlier when we were off air, you can use music for sexual activity. You can use music for anger. You can use music for war. Even if you're conducting some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? A torture environment, right? Because we know, based on reports we were getting when the prisoners were in Guantanamo, they would play music, a specific type of music, to drive those prisoners crazy. So it does have
torture.
It does have an effect on various levels of emotions, right?
And
I have an email here last week from Janice, and she wrote in and said, "Hello, Liquid Green Music Show. I am a new listener here from Delson, Quebec."
Hey, we should have a sting that goes ding.
Yeah, we should have a bell.
Time.
I think we're going to get a bell to ring
every time there's
for
a new listener. Right?
So thank you very much for that, Janice. And we have some other email here.
So Gary, back to you while Frederick looks for the next email. Are you from a musical family at all? Is it your niece you mentioned, but your dad, mom, anybody else?
No, that was my cousin, but no, my direct family, father, mother, and 5 siblings.
Nothing.
Nobody. They're more sports people.
Oh wow. Okay. What about you, Mike?
But Mike is not there, so
hold on. Can you hear me now? There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for me, I guess my mom is a little musical, and I think on my mother's side, that's where and actually on my dad's side too, there's a few musical people too, but it's like here and there. It's not like a huge amount.
Okay. Mike, last week you mentioned with the famous musicians, you said, how do they, like they're on the road all the time? What is it that there's so much burnout? Like we hear of Amy, what's her name?
Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse.
That commits suicide,
Yes.
So even though music is such a connector, it's the universal language. I think I'll find Herbie Hancock. He said music happens to be an art form that transcends language. So it is so unifying, and yet for the people that we depend on for this music, it can be so terrifying.
It can be destructive. Yeah.
I think of the Michael Jacksons of the world, the big ones.
Yeah.
And the horrible lives they had, even though they brought such fantastic music.
Yeah, I think at that level, they become a target of a lot of people that want to take advantage of them. And I think that's what happened to Michael. A lot of people went after him. I have a Roxanne ready to come in. I was going to let her in.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Okay,
that's
wonderful.
fine.
And
That's
while
I
you're
guess.
doing that, Roxanne is going to tell us when she comes
Mhm.
about how it
Recording
actually how it actually affects your brain, what it is,
Mhm.
like scientifically,
Yeah.
that makes music such a wonderful thing. But you know, another thing, music in church. Oh, there you are, Roxanne.
Okay. Before we get to Roxanne,
She needs to.
we have a
Mhm.
Roxanne. If you can hear us, if you can just orient your picture 90 degrees so we can see you well. Yeah. We have an email from Karen. This came in last week. It says, "Hi, Janet and Fred. Wow, the Ed Sullivan Show all over again. Love
Oh,
it."
that's what we were talking and giving.
Real big
you
show
know.
here, the Liquid Greenhouse Show coming out after the Beatles. You're all enjoying it?
Oh dear, yeah. Were you old enough for the Ed Sullivan Show?
Well, I was. I'm 65, right?
Oh wow. Well, I have you beat.
Yes, I
Okay.
remember that day quite well when
Yeah.
the first appearance. I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Rox,
So
you're
you
gonna
wanna go
welcome
ahead?
Roxanne.
Excuse me. Excuse me. What's going on there? What's happening with my throat here? Okay. Well, our guest is here. Her name is Roxanne. She's reappearing once again. She was here on last week, and she was did a very wonderful job. Had a lot of positive emails about her, and so we've decided to bring her back this week to continue the conversation on music and how she uses music to work with her clients. Her name is Roxanne Christian. She is a Trafalgar Castle School and Berklee College of Music alumni. She has over a decade of experience working with physical, mental, emotional, and cognitive needs within the various district school boards, municipal nursing homes, psychiatric hospitals, and other populations globally. She's the founder of Live, Love, Life Music and is an international board certified music therapist and uses music in her field to help her clients heal and get back, some of their normal selves. So with us this evening is the beautiful Roxanne.
Roxanne, how's your
Christian.
doggy?
How are you, Roxanne?
My dog is well. He's a Shih Tzu. Now he looks like a Chihuahua because I all hair.
Oh dear, yeah.
You had an experience with your doggy today. And we're glad that the doggy is well. We're glad that you can join us this afternoon.
And you made that in record time.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're glad to have you now because now we know he's safe and you're not worried. So you can give us all your attention.
Yes.
So we're going to start with a question for you. Last week you were mentioning, you gave us some experiences about what you do, therapy with the elderly, and you do work with some early childhood programs, but we wanted to talk a little bit more about the science behind why does this work. Yes. I know we did mention cortisol and dopamine and the feel good peptides, I think protein peptides that cause us to feel good, right? So what can you tell us, or what have you learned that you can share with our listening audience on Reality Radio 101 and on YouTube?
And on YouTube, yes.
Liquid Green Health Show.
Liquid Green Health Show.
Yeah. And on Facebook. All right. What can you share with us about what happens scientifically?
Yes. So there's a few things. I'm gonna first speak about the seniors. Okay. And because, and we talked a little bit about this last week, because their long-term memory when it comes to dementia and Alzheimer's is the last to go, that part of the brain is still, we can easily access memories from that part of the brain that is not affected by the disease, their childhood or long-term memory. And that's why when we sing the songs from their childhood, they perk up, they light up, they're more motivated to do the things you want them to do, whether it's with physical rehabilitation or maintenance, or engaging verbally and socially, or just orienting them to the present moment and what's going on. And when you talk about children, because the way music is processed in the brain, we're not just using one side of the brain, we're using the right and the left hemispheres.
Okay.
So it really helps the children access their logical and problem-solving aspects of their learning, as well as their creative and emotional aspects of their learning. So when we think of when we're talking about rhythm, or we're talking about even like harmony structure, we're talking about how we process intervals. That's all using like the logical side of the brain. But when we talk about like the timbre, the tone, the lyrics, or the types of instruments and the colors and mood that it elicits from us, that's more the creative side of the brain. So music is really great for children, especially, to develop both sides of their brain. And then even if they go deeper and start to learn theory, that's preparing their math brain. That's helping them understand sequences, patterns, intervals, ranges, just different concepts other than like literature and language and feeling.
And you know, we have seen this, Roxanne, with some of those, the geniuses, the ones on the piano. They're 6 years old and they're playing as if they're Chopin. So I guess just like language, they can acquire so much at a young age. Should every parent get their kids in music?
I would encourage parents, just like any other extracurricular activity, like sports included, allow their children to try different things. And even if their children are resistant, have them try certain things for a certain period of time, just so they have that exposure, and also to see what might really interest them. I know some children who have been resistant to music at first, learning, and then after just committing to a certain period of time, they became very involved and interested in it. And same thing with even sports. There have been children who don't want to try sport, and their parents make them, and next thing you know, they're loving it. But I have had some students where their parents forced them, despite them not wanting to do it. And they have, made a commitment to try it for a certain period of time. And that time has passed and they're still resistant. In that case, I never encourage people to continue practicing or learning an instrument if their heart isn't into it.
That's right. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Exactly.
And hopefully grow to love it, right?
Exactly. Music is supposed to be like an expression of, self
joy.
And joy, right? So to force someone, I don't think that's the best way. Did your mom influence you at all? Or how were you influenced to get into this field? The earliest memory of lessons was probably when I was maybe grade 1 or even earlier, preschool. I took keyboard lessons, but I don't think I had a great teacher because I didn't retain a lot and enjoy it. And so I didn't find my passion for piano as I did with guitar, because I had different instruction. I don't think it was the instrument. I really believe it was the way I was taught.
Okay.
But yeah, it helps to have a certain type of instruction that each person responds best to, because all teaching styles are different
for everybody. Yep.
It's better for others than other children.
Right. Frederick, did you ever play an instrument?
No, but
Where did you get your love of music?
I've always been told that I should, for relaxation purposes, that I should pick up an instrument. But for some reason, I've never gravitated to doing that. I just love listening to musical.
I know. You love music. And because of you, both our kids and myself have a real love for music. I actually did some piano lessons. I went to a girls' boarding school, Westwood High School, 200 girls for so many years. And we had a music teacher, Mrs. Flo Jeffrey Smith, very old English woman. And she had a dog, and most of us took music lessons because she had the best biscuits for the dog. And when she wasn't looking, we would eat the dog biscuits, right? That is a true story. And for anybody listening from Westwood, they can corroborate that story.
So that's why you bark so often in your sleep.
Terrible. Anyway, Roxanne,
if you can just hold your thought here. I want to interject. We have a beautiful email from someone by the name of Don. He wrote in and he said, I just love your music show segment. I'm including here a nice blog about music. Maybe you can use it. You can use some of it, and it's very, very nice.
Sure.
Why music?
Yeah.
Music is a science. It's mathematical. It's a foreign language. Music is history. Music is physical education. Music develops insight and demands research. Music is all these things, but most of all, music is art. And then it goes on to say, this is why we teach music, not because we expect you to major in music, not because we expect you to play or sing all your life, but so you will be human, so you will recognize beauty, so you will be closer to an intimate beyond this world, so you will have something to cling to, and so you will have more love, more compassion, more gentleness, more good. In short, more life.
That
Wonderful.
is awesome.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Don, for sending that in. They say, Roxanne, music is the biggest connector. Like you could go to a concert and you're sitting beside someone you have no idea, you've never met them. You strike up a conversation and you become friends so quickly.
All because of the music.
Right.
And everybody dances, as long as there's rhythm, as I said last week, as long as there's some rhythm in it, I am attracted to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Roxanne, if you could collaborate, I'll ask Gary the same question, both of you. If you could choose someone with which to collaborate musically, who would it be?
Hi, Roxanne.
Hi, Gary.
I would have to say, believe it or not, Richard and Karen Carpenter.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
So that song really spoke to you last week. Somebody chose one of their songs.
Very good, yes.
Okay.
Good choice.
What about you, Roxanne? You were going to say Gary, right?
No, but Roxanne, before you answer, Gary, can I ask you why that, those two in particular caused you to pick them?
Well, number one, I think the songs that they wrote throughout the 60s, 70s before Karen Carpenter passed.
Yesterday, Once More.
Yeah, beautiful pop, beautiful arrangements. Karen Carpenter's voice, I think, in my opinion, second to none. Natural vibrato, natural tone pitch. But I like the arrangements, and it's easy listening, but it also kind of gives you a little bit of a treat, even if you're a rock person, because some of the stuff was uppity and that kind of thing. So I just love the arrangements. I love the music.
Okay, wonderful choice. Roxanne, what about you?
Yes, Roxanne.
I would choose Jill Scott.
Who?
One, because Jill Scott. So she's not really a mainstream artist. She's very popular in the R&B, soul, and neo soul world.
Okay.
So I guess she would be categorized under other artists like India Arie.
Okay. Badu. Badu.
People like that.
Yeah.
But I like her because she uses a lot of technique involving the style of soul and merges it very nicely with opera. I've been classically trained as a vocalist, so I can really relate to how she manipulates the voice to combine the two styles. And I just love the content that, her lyrics, they tell a story. Many times, a lot of her songs are uplifting, and I love the way she produces her songs, the harmonies. Chords, they're amazing.
And you see your details. Sorry, go ahead.
If I were to choose to pick a songwriter for me, it would be Carole King.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because she wrote so many wonderful songs that I
agree, Fred.
That so many Black artists sang, right? everybody from Gladys Knights to even oh gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. But Carole King to me was a champion, one of the best songwriters.
I don't know if I can.
And then you have the Lamont Dozier, you know, those guys from Philadelphia that wrote for Teddy Pendergrass and those wonderful songwriters.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, if we were to ask this question, not as collaborators, because most people, our listeners are not musicians, but they all have music that speaks to them, right?
Yeah.
Because we know music is one of the things that offers immediate distraction. If a baby is crying and irritated, you can put something on and it will soothe.
Because they're immediately connected to the universe. That sound, you know, the universe is all about sound, right? So the minute you put on something for a baby, it's going to take them back to, you know.
No, the same thing happens when we drive. Do you realize, or I don't know if anybody else, but this is true for me. If I'm driving and I put on some hip hop with the windows down and louder, my speed, I'm speeding.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why does that happen, Roxanne? Because music is it can turn you off and it can turn you on.
It cranks up a certain level of energy that you feel like dancing, but because you can't really dance, you tend to drive faster.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Call that rhythmic entrainment. So that's another way how music, the brain is affected by music in terms of rhythm, tempo, or the speed. And so, for example, you might be listening to classical music on the radio and it's a relaxing like Debussy piece, and then you switch the chant and your breathing maybe deeper, longer breaths, your heart rate is slower, and then you switch the channel to hip hop, and maybe the type of beat
wakes you up.
This is all different.
And it's maybe a speed that's maybe not too fast, but it's maybe faster. Nice. So eventually your breathing is going to kind of match your heartbeat, the speed and the depth of your breath.
Okay.
And then say, for example, you turn on something even faster, like electronic music or thrash metal or something. It's maybe very fast and next thing you know, your heartbeat is elevated and maybe your breath is more shallow, and then your body responds like that, kind of like the fight or flight type of feeling, like what am I getting all this energy that's in my body? I've got to expel it.
So that's what happens in like rock concerts, in churches, the same vibrations, because people can get into a trance.
Yes.
Right. Even exercise. If you're exercising, I think scientifically, they say if you put music on when you're exercising, it will help you to forget about the burn, and therefore you can do more.
Because you get into that rhythm and you just go with the flow. You exercise, based on the rhythm.
So I guess that's what you're talking about in terms of how the brain responds.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. What I like to do is, depending on the client and their goals, I like to use binaural beats that have certain cycles, beats per minute. In addition to deep breathing, setting an intention, toning, or just playing vibrational instruments. Because if, for example, they want to work on, so we have like different brainwave frequencies. We have delta, which is deep sleep, what happens when you're in the middle of your sleep. Then we have theta, which is kind of like a transitioning, it's almost like a dream state. And that's a great time to speak to your subconscious. That's a great time to get inspiration and download. So if someone's really trying to, get some sort of inspired idea, or to reprogram their subconscious, maybe through affirmation, it's good to put on binaural beats in the theta range. and then
Okay.
start some toning, which again also helps with the production of nitric oxide that we spoke about.
Yes.
And then there you can also do like toning affirmations. So slowly reciting an affirmation on the exhale until you can no longer breathe, then taking a deep breath in and then repeating it over and over again. The binaural,
No, go ahead.
The binaural beat will help you to keep that brainwave state and will help with the breathing. And then the toning is just the music piece and the other piece that kind of like it's like a non-invasive way to impress upon the subconscious creatively.
So what about music for sleeping? Is that a contradiction? Because we should be sleeping in quiet and in the dark and, you know, for the best REM sleep. But music is what should we do? Should we encourage music during sleep, or should we go with quiet? Or is the meditative music good? And should we keep it on all night? I don't know. What's your recommendation?
Because I've studied and I have my credentials in music therapy. I just have an opinion on this. But people who have their credentials in sound healing are more well versed in understanding the effects of the sounds throughout the night. But I believe that, I mean, ideally, if someone doesn't have challenges going to sleep without sound or any kind of light is best. But a lot of people, you know, we have a racing mind. We live in a world that's so fast. And when we're tired and then we hit the bed, our mind is racing. So we use tools like meditative music or certain frequencies or binaural beats or, you know, nature sounds to kind of quiet the mind and quiet the heartbeat to help you go into a deep sleep. So if you do struggle with sleep, the music and sound and binaural beats can definitely help.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to
thank you
to make this announcement to our listeners that have just tuned in. You're listening to the Liquid Green Health Show, and we're asking that please go to YouTube, type in the Liquid Green Health Show, like us on Facebook, share on Facebook, subscribe on Facebook. This is very important for us so that we can grow. Okay. We have another email I would like to touch on here. This is from Gail. And
this was still from last week.
We're
still reading last week's emails.
Gail says, hi, Janet and Fred. This show is so interesting. Music is amazing. Roxanne's profession is so amazing. And what else does he say?
To so many people.
So amazing to so many people. Thanks for sharing. All right.
Yes, Roxanne, we had a few emails that were saying you're an excellent guest. So we're glad you came back.
Yeah, thank you for that, Gail. Now, so far we have been talking about music in a very, solemn way. We talk about music, how it heals. We talk about music, for meditation. I'm going to be a little risque here. I'm going to say.
But you also said music used in the camps, the concentration camps too.
No. Music for sex.
Okay.
people use music for all kinds of things. Yes. And if you listen to calypso, you listen to some real smooth R&B,
provocative,
and you see how people are provocatively dancing. Yep. The music has a way of stirring up those sexual.
Of course, love songs. Yeah. What's more?
It brings out that sexual energy in you, and you want to do crazy things. People have bedroom music, baby making music.
But guess what? So here's an email from Brad. Brad says, Fred, sex music. He says, hey, Fred, there are thousands of us men out here that want to know what music you listen to when having sex. Now, Brad, he is only going to tell you that depending on who is having sex with. Okay. It won't be with.
And that was the answer. Okay, you just heard it. Just heard it, Brad.
But what music do you
like
love?
I said, I really don't have a preference.
That's funny.
Right? I don't, and that's a good question. I don't have a preference for any particular type of music. As I said, if it has rhythm, it's going to stir some kind of emotion in me. If I'm at a party and I'm dancing with my woman, and the right type of song comes on, and you hold her close, and you get that emotion, that energy is exchanging. It stirs up that that desire.
Puts you in the mood.
Yeah,
everybody knows that, right? Roxanne, you're too young.
Right? So it all depends on the type of music, my friend.
No, Roxanne brought her drum, but let's get to a couple other emails real fast.
Yeah.
All right, Roxanne, we are watching the time, so we're gonna make sure you give us a how you use your drum.
Of your drumming.
This email is from Amy, and Amy asks, "Oh, Janet, what was your expertise in teaching?" In teaching, what I loved, my favorite subjects were language, literature probably one of my favorite. I love poems, and I also taught geography and history. So those were my main subjects. Thanks for asking. Are you a teacher too? Anyway,
and here's one from Beth. Here's one from Beth. Hi, Fred and Janet. So funny regarding Rogers. We love you here in San Fran. Cisco, California. San Francisco.
I love the part. And one more from Eric. Eric, we ask people to send in their emails, so we like to read them. Let's get through them really fast. Hi, Fred and Janet. I'm waiting for the new internet server. I guess this is when we were talking about that horrible Rogers.
Yes.
The new internet server company called Liquid Green Communications.
We're working on that.
I will then switch. As a matter of fact, Eric, we also have Liquid Green Travel, but you'll hear more about that later.
More about that. That's coming up.
Okay. And we plan our trip to Africa.
This one from Charlie. Just before we get back to our guest, very entertaining show today. Hi, Liquid Green, so funny. Thank you very much, Charlie.
We can't do this without our guests.
There are many more emails that we probably will not be able to get to, but we will answer them personally.
Okay, so let's get back to Roxanne.
Let's get back to Roxanne here.
Do you have your drum?
Yes.
You have my drum.
What are you gonna do with your drum for us today, for our listeners?
Like a very quick tutorial, and then just how it all works together. So for those of you who are gonna go to drum circles this summer, or who are interested in getting a djembe, you can go to your local music store. They always sell djembes there.
How do you spell djembe?
D-J-E-M-B-E, right?
D-J-E-M-B-E.
B-E, yeah.
Right, for people who don't know, right.
And that's an African drum, am I correct?
Yes, so a djembe is a West African drum.
Yeah.
And music therapists use a lot of percussive instruments, and djembes are one of the fundamental ones. And it makes sense because djembe, if you translate what it means in the language, it means gather together in peace. So it's appropriately named for the work I do. So you want to lift it up in between your legs. You want to tilt it forward so the sound can resonate from the bottom. You never want it flat on the surface.
Right.
Block the sound. So we've got a few basic hits. Once you know these hits, you can mix and match the patterns and create infinite number of patterns or rhythms or beats. So we've got a bass hit. You take your open hand, hit it in the middle, come up quick like a hot potato. Then we've got a tone. We take the pads of our hands, place them by the rim, curve our hands over, and you can hit it. Then we've got stop, just like the tone, except we keep our hands on the drum so it mutes the sound. It stops the sound from resonating. Then we've got tone, taking the tips of our fingers at the edge of the djembe and doing, these are called they're fast tones with the tips of your fingers at the edge of the djembe. So we've got bass, tone, stop, and roll. And from there, you can mix and match and create an infinite amount of beats or patterns. So here's one of my favorite ones. It's more like a Caribbean kind of style. Is bass, bass, tone, 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 bass, bass, stop, stop. So that's just bass, bass.
Great,
tone,
great,
tone.
great.
If I played the same types of hits, but I did a different rhythm, it would sound differently. So I did bass, bass, and then 3 tones, tone, tone, tone. So I would change the rhythm and do bass, bass, tone, tone, tone. It would sound different. Just by playing the same hit, right?
Wow.
So I could go on and on with the variations of rhythm with the same hit. But I'll just play a little snippet of a few different types of combinations of bass tone and stop.
Okay. Wonderful. Yay. Now, so Gary, can you play? You ever tried the djembe?
Yes, I have several times.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
he's a musician.
I'm a percussionist, right?
Yeah.
So,
right. So, okay.
That's not my main instrument, but yes,
Okay.
I've played it, yes.
In bands, who's my favorite? Usually in any band?
Who?
The guy is going crazy on the drums. I love the drummers. Yes, thank you so much for that, Roxanne. So would you use that with seniors or with children mostly, or just everybody?
I use it with all population. How I use it and what we do, sometimes it varies depending on what the goals are. Yeah.
Okay, you had another instrument. Perhaps if you don't even get a chance to play it, would you show it to us?
Sure, it's just my guitar. This is like my best buddy.
Okay. Was that your first instrument? That was your first instrument?
No, my first instrument I started learning on was keyboard.
Okay. You did say that.
I have a collection of guitars, so this is not my first guitar, but yeah. So I use the guitar for meditations. I use it for like sing-alongs. I use it as a performer. I use it as a singer-songwriter. So yeah, I love the guitar.
What's in the future for Roxanne?
Well, right now I have a new program called Boss Lady Confidence. Beautiful, optimistic, successful soul lady ready to rock this world in full confidence. So we use music therapy, sound healing, mindfulness, mastering your mindset, and vibrational alignment to unleash your creative powers, regulate your mood so you don't have can release that stress and anxiety, and just develop tools so you can learn how to have clarity, focus, and just really be inspired, make proper moves. I really encourage everyone to visit my website. And
I was just about to ask you to tell us about your website. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a few free resources that I would love for people to download and check out. And that way they can also keep in touch with me. Once they download, I periodically send them information, tools, tips, invites to different things going on in the music therapy world. So download the gratitude journal and the ebook Fearless. You can find it at my site at livelovelifemusic.com.
livelovelifemusic.com.
Okay.
Right.
Now your email, it's there, right?
It's there on the site. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the site.
So
when they go to the site, they'll see it there. So that is livelovelife.com.
Live Love Life Music.
Oh, livelovelifemusic.com. Livelovelifemusic.com.
And Frederick, the time is getting away from us. It's already, just a few minutes left. Roxanne, we're going to thank you again, despite your trauma.
Yes, and she still could have
made the time to come in and be with us today, right?
Still could have made the time.
Frederick, Don says, hi, Fred and Janet. Writing to you again, listening to RR 101, Reality Radio 101. He loves the theme song as well. Fantastic. Cheers.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much, Don. Well, this has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to once again have the privilege of speaking to you, Roxanne. As we said earlier, it's really we're really happy that you were able to, despite the trauma that you experienced with your little puppy, you're able to make it onto the show this afternoon. So we want to thank you.
And you know, Frederick, we look forward to this show.
Yes.
And we have so many listeners. We're so happy because when Paula, who also does a show on Mondays, Money Mondays and Fridays, when she introduced us to Gary, it's not we had thought of something like this in the, just in passing. But Gary, when she introduced you to us and we met and we decided, yes, I think we could do this. And now we're really enthused. And the responses we get and the encouragement, we respond to every single email we get. And so I'd like to mention Bob and Dave, Anne, and Irene, who all sent us happy Canada Day last week. And we never read their emails individually. But, somebody like Bob, again, he says, today is the day. I mean, it's like he's reminding us. He's like he's reminding us. He looks forward to it, and so do we. And we love bringing you this show. And we love the fact that our guests, we may not be able to get who's a big star, we may not be able to get Dr. Oz, forget Dr. Oz. One of these medical, the best neurosurgeon in Toronto. But I believe the guests that we have, we can speak frankly. And they're real people.
They're real people, and they're not using these big fancy terms that you have to look up on the YouTube. What does it mean? It's everyday language.
Get the message across. And I believe that's a gap that we have been able to fill. And so on YouTube, we really want you to subscribe.
Please
and
go
tell
to
others
YouTube.
About us.
It's the Liquid Green Health Show on YouTube. Like us, subscribe, share it, and because we want to grow, and we cannot grow unless you do that for us, right? We really appreciate those of you that have made the attempt to go on and like and share. You've done a wonderful job. The numbers are just,
I know when we talked to Trudy, my sister-in-law in Jamaica, she is one of our ardent listeners. She's one of the few people that we get from Jamaica, because we do have people over the world, right? But from Jamaica. And Trudy says, Janet, Fred, I'm going to get all my family to subscribe. So that's the kind of commitment.
And we really appreciate that.
Roxanne, I'd like to give your mother a plug because she really was responsible for getting you on our show. She has a business downtown Whitby. Just give us the name of it.
Yes, it's called Pop-Up Thrift Shop by Belmar. For those of you who visit or are familiar with downtown Whitby, it's right at the corner of Brock and Highway 2, right next to Van Bell. So
what's the name again? I couldn't hear it clearly.
Pop-Up Thrift Shop by Belmar. It's a green sign, you can't miss it. Downtown.
Yeah. And for those who are listening, Whitby is here in Canada, not the Whitby in England. Right? So Sandra, we hope you'll get some benefits.
Get some calls or get some people visiting your store.
Okay, Frederick, what's coming up for the rest of the month?
Next week, we're going to try and do something on laughter.
Yes.
As I said, this month is all about fun.
But people already believe you're a comedian. Or some of our listeners think you're so funny.
So we're going to do something on laughter. So here's what we're going to do. Folks that are listening to us, write into us before Saturday. Let it get to us before Saturday. The Liquid Green, write to liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com, and send us your favorite joke, right? One that we can read on air, and let us know what your favorite jokes.
Yes, Monica, I was just mentioning here. Monica says, "Love your topics and information." So she is just agreeing with what we just said, right? It has helped me a lot. I have various health issues and I love the advice. Thanks very much.
Right. And we have less than a minute. this has been really, really wonderful. And this is what we want to do. We want to keep our listeners engaged, bring them information that, we can all relate to. Nothing too scientific, nothing too political, just things that, we can discuss and have fun and share the information. So this has been really, really wonderful.
Can I squeeze one in? Good luck,
one
Douglas.
in very quickly. Yeah.
Douglas says, yes, indeed. Okay, never mind. I think we might have read that already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have been listening to the Liquid Green Health Show. Every Sunday we're on here. Please go to Facebook, like, share, and subscribe. We really need your help. This is the Liquid Green Health Show on Reality Radio 101. Let's stay healthy. Let's have fun. Send those jokes in so next week we can read them on air. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.